Hello and welcome back to another recording from Multi-Tech-Spec, and today we're going to have a look at Windows Deployment Services and how it can be used in Windows Server 2008. We're going to take this from a scratch approach, so from absolutely nothing. To speed up the process, what I've done is I've created another clone of a previous server that I've made. This is just to speed up the process, no particular reason for it. What I'm going to do is show you the settings that I've used in this server. Okay, so I'm going to go to some of the other things. So this is where it's going to store the snapshots. Description. Okay, so in system, what I've done is I've created a heap load of RAM for this server. Okay, for a server, you do want a lot of RAM in order to make it run efficiently, because it has to do a lot of things at once. So like when it's configuring, doing updates, you need a lot of RAM to make it run. Jesus, I mean, I once had like 134 updates for this thing, and it took forever to process. And this is on 6 cores, I think. Let me just check. Yeah, 6 cores. It took it took about an hour to process, over an hour. But like, you need good processors. Like, you need multiple processors. So this is running with the logical and the physical. So I've got 6 in here. The execution cap, I'm not sure what that's all about, but it's... Oh, okay. So that limits the amount that the virtual CPU can run. Acceleration, as you can see, I've got both accelerations enabled. You would want that in order to make it run on multiple cores. Also, you want this feature enabled to make it run on multiple cores as well. Chipset I've just left at default. Okay, so display, I've got one display at the moment. The video memory I've allocated is maximum. That's just to make it run a little bit faster. I don't have any remote display installed, although I could if I wanted to. Okay, so storage, that's just the guest editions. So if you go to VirtualBox, download the guest editions ISO, it will automatically install itself in there. And then when you get into it, once you've installed the operating system, then this will become available to you. Just insert the disk and then just install the additions. This tends to update by itself when you install VirtualBox. So that's that. Okay, and the SATA controller I have for the actual server itself on SATA 0. Audio, well, it's not really needed. Okay, so for the network, what I've done is I've bridged the actual network, so that way it sees the virtual with the physical. Okay, so you'll kind of get what that means in a minute, but what I'm trying to say is that you can see your physical computers in connection with the virtual computers, if that makes any sense, because this is a virtual computer, the one that I'm launching at the moment, but what I'm sitting on is an actual physical computer. Okay, now in the advanced tab, what I've done is I've gone to promiscuous mode, and I've allowed everything. I'm not afraid to show you the MAC address because I'm going to delete this thing after it's done, because I already have one installed on here. Okay, serial ports, I have none connected because I'm not going to be using them. We're going to be using them here. USB devices, if you want to connect to a USB device, then all you have to do is just click this button here, which adds an empty filter, or you can add a filter from a device. So adding a filter from device just selects things that are enabled already in your system. So this could be a camera, this could be a hard drive, scanner, that kind of thing, printer, you know, just the general kind of things. Okay, but I'm just going to go back to the system quickly and just show you how to set this thing up. Okay, so in the motherboard, what you have is base memory. Okay, base memory is like what you have in your computer. So this is the amount of memory which it has available to it. Because I'm running multiple operating systems, what I've done is I've only selected up to the green belt. But if I go to the orange belt, you'll notice that this sign comes up saying no notable settings detected. All that means is that there isn't enough RAM to run both the operating systems, the virtual and the physical operating system. So I will just cut that back slightly, and there we go. In the processors tab, this is an 4-core CPU with 8 processors in total, because it has 4 virtual processors, 4 physical processors. Sorry, not virtual, I mean logical processors. And all I've done is just enable the extensions feature, the extended feature PAE in here, and then all you have to do just to make it, just adjust the slider. It's pretty much the same thing for everything in this server. So I'm just gonna oh yes, I'm on remote, that's fine then, I can leave that so. So yeah, and then just tick these two, tick that one. Chipset, just leave it on its default setting. You don't need a network for now. I'll show you that in a minute. I'll show you that in part 3 or 4 of the video, depending on how many parts I make. I haven't decided, I'm just doing this on the fly. And just click OK. So to make a virtual machine, okay, that's the settings. I'm going to show you how to make a new one. So just click on New in VirtualBox, click Next, and then if you're making a machine, in this case we're going to call it Server 2008, so I'm going to call it Windows Server 2008 R2 x64, and it's gone to Windows Vista. Alright, not a problem. So what should I have typed in? Oh, okay, yes. I'm going to type in Windows. Right, I'm going to type in Windows, and I'm going to type in 2008. I'm going to call it R2. Sorry, Windows Server 2008 x64 R2. That's what I should have typed in the first place. But what basically that's saying, you see, is that it's just a command that runs, and it just tells what operating system it's going to be using and what edition. So in this case, it's Windows Server 2008 x64 R2 edition. So just click Next, and then allocate some base memory. So the minimum is 512 for this to run. So just jack it up to whatever you want, just using the slider. Click Next. If you're going to create this from a existing installation, then just use an existing hard drive. If you're going to use another hard drive, then just click Next, and then just select whichever one you want. I usually select VDI because it's most convenient. Click Next. Dynamic allocation. Next. Select your size of the thing from your slider. So this was originally set at 25 gigabytes. Click Next, and then just click Create to just start it up. So this is what it will look like. Just going to click Create, and you'll get something like this down here. Okay. So then all you have to do is just right click, and then go to Clone. Oh, sorry, not clone. That's how I did the cloning process for that. Just go right click and then click on Settings, and then just go to System, and all the appropriate things will be there. Okay, so that's that. Just delete this now. Yes, everything. And I'm going to fire up the server. Don't worry about this message, that's just because I'm on remote. Okay, let's just get comfortable here, and let's begin. Okay, this is part 2 of the video, where I'm going to show you how to configure Windows deployment services from start to finish. This is Multi-Tech Spec. Just give it a moment to load. Come on. Come on. I'm having a good day. Let's get this going. Okay, so now you'll be presented with this screen. You won't get something exactly like this. This is because I have, what do I have? I've got Desktop Experience installed on this. so it just looked like something from Windows 7. I'll show you that in a later tutorial. I'll probably do that as the next video, and I'll show you how to get this funky cool thing. Alright, so go to Machine, and then just click Insert Critical Delete, and then type in your username and password if you have one. If not, don't worry about it, just go with the flow. There is no default username and password, because if I remember correctly, you have to, yes, once you install Windows Server 2008 R2 or Windows Server 2008, you'll be asked to create one. Your default login will be as an administrator. However, you can create multiple login accounts under different names using Active Directory if you log in. But as a default, I think you log in as a different user to begin with, if I remember correctly. However, if you do not, just use your administrator account and you'll be in. Okay, what's my password? Oh yes, should be it. Okay, nope, incorrect, no problem. Right, there we go. Okay, see, do I have it already installed on here, or I don't think I do. Right, okay, that's good. Okay, I'm not really bothered about that. What's on the server then? Yes, brilliant. Okay, right. Okay, now the first thing that I want to point out in this server is that I have an internet connection. Now, why is this important? Well, if you've got things like Internet Information Services, or IIS, or Remote Desktop Services, then this is very important, because you want to make sure that your server is online and that people can access it from afar. So what I mean by that is that people can see your server, so they'll put that 11-digit IP address, which I mentioned back in the remote desktop video, or they'll put a name of the server in there using port 80 reduction, and they can see things like your web page, or they can see things like your remote desktop applications, or they can access your VDI infrastructure, VDI being virtual desktop infrastructure, and use a machine off there. You see, and it's quite important to have an internet connection on your server. I cannot stress that enough. It's such a useful thing to have, you know, because you don't want one which doesn't have one, because it will just be an internal server. It'll just be a file server, to be honest. It's just sitting there just transferring files. Okay, yes, I get the picture. Thank you, Microsoft. Okay, right. So what do we go? So where do we go from here? Okay, the first thing that I would say is go to Add Roles, click on Next, and install the Active Directory domain services. Okay, install anyway. That's because I have remote desktop sessions on here. Sessions host. It should have been uninstalled, but for some reason it's still back, and well, life is life. So click on that and click Next. Click Next and install. Okay, it seems to have been done. So now I'm going to launch a DC promo, and I'm not really caring about that. Okay, then click next, next, and then you want to click existing, create a new domain in an existing forest, but if you have one already, then just use your existing credentials. This is an existing forest, so I'm going to click, sorry, a new forest, and then I'm going to click next. Okay, now this part, I want to make clear, is a fake domain. It's not a real one. You don't have to put a real one in there. Okay, because this is a fully qualified domain name just for the forest of the computer. So basically anything that connects to it will be connecting to a forest. How long-winded is that? It's going to be connected to a forest. Oh, what do you mean? Trees? Anyway, it's going to be connected to a forest in that domain. So basically, if I type things like, okay, so I've got cloud 1, so I'm going to say cloud 2, cloud2.com, something like that. I'm not sure if it's already in use, but never mind. So I'm going to click next, and you'll see that it will check to see whether or not the forest name is already in use. On this server it won't be because I haven't used it anywhere else. And it's just going to check. Yes, and it does take quite a while. Even on, I'm running on 7 cores here. I'm using the 1 core just to make the thing work, the physical operating system work, and this is running at 3.2 gigs. But as you can see, even then it's still quite slow. So I would recommend that if you've got 2 or more processors, then you're very lucky, and you know, this thing will work like a charm. Anyway, so yeah, so the forest function level should be Windows Server 2008 R2. If you're using it in conjunction with the other ones, then I would say something else. But for this forest, I'm going to say Windows Server 2008 R2. I'm going to click next. Okay, there is no DNS server on here, so it might need to install one. But that's fine. That's fine. Even if you get it, it's okay. Don't worry about it. Just click next, and then you'll get this message. Now, I'm not really sure how to bypass this message. I've tried doing it as a static IP address, but it keeps saying that it comes up as a dynamic IP address. But I'm not too bothered about that because we can set that in a minute. Okay. So to set a static IP address, what you do is you go to Start menu and you type in CMD. Or you can go to, even better, go to PowerShell. Okay. Now, CMD commands will work with PowerShell. Just let me get comfortable here. Okay, CMD commands will work with PowerShell, as I was saying, and all you do is you type in this command called ipconfig, and I've typed it in wrong, so let's try that again. ipconfig, and as you can see, all the little details about the network are here. And as you can see, there's 2 different IP addresses running on the server, so I can say 192.168.0.8 or 192.168.0.7. Okay. So what you do then is you go here, and then you go to network. You go to network and sharing, and as you can see, I just wanted to make that bit clear. You see, the virtual computer has actually found my physical computers. So the physical computers in this case that I'm recording on is DC laptop PC, DC PC. Okay, now go to Network and Sharing Center, change network adapter settings, and then on the port that has your internet connection, so that's the network that has your internet connection, just click on one of them that has the internet connection, and then just go properties, and then Internet Protocol version 4 properties, and then just use that information that we found. So use following IP address, so in this case this could be 192.168.0.8 for example. The subnet mask fills in by itself. The default gateway in my case is 192.168.0.1, and then preferred DNS server is exactly the same, 2.168.0.1, and then just click OK. right? You need to run that IP config for your IP address and your default gateway. Usually those are given to you on hand. Okay. I'm not going to worry about this for now because, like I said, I'm going to be deleting this. But even with this on, in fact, let me show you. Okay, so now it has a static IP address. Now watch this. I'm going to click on next, and you can still see that message still comes up saying that it's on DHCP, but it's not. It's a static IP address now, because I've already gone there and I've told the server that for those two NICs, okay, that's network interface card or cards, that the IP address should not change from 192.168.0.8. Okay, so this is wrong. It's rubbish. It's just not relevant at all. So what you'll say is just click on yes, okay, and then it will examine. My DNS configuration. This cannot be created. Routed zone, cloud 2. Okay, alright, let's just do one thing at a time here. So I'm just going to click on this, and then I'm going to just say obtain automatically. Yes. Yes. See, notice that I no longer have an internet connection now. See, and I've got internet access straight away. You see, that's one of the weird things about this server, that you know, stuff happens like that. But there is to overcome. It just could have been that I've typed in the wrong IP address, and I got that little symbol there. So it's probably using 192.168.07 as an IP address to go and do all that. However, I prefer to have it automatically because it works better and more efficiently. So yeah. Okay. What does this say? A delegation for the DNS server cannot be created because the authoritative parent zone cannot be found, or it does not run Windows DNS server. If you integrate with an existing DNS infrastructure, you should manually create a delegation to this DNS server in the parent zone. To ensure reliable name resolution from outside the domain, cloud2.com, otherwise no action is required. Do I want to continue? Of course I want to continue. Okay, I'm going to leave this as the default. Click next. Okay, so this is the recovery password. So in Active Directory domain services, so if something goes wrong, or like a user just like wants to be, well, himself and or herself and just want to tamper with things, then it's very useful for that. So I'm just going to create a little password here. Let's see, I'll just create the same as the server password. Okay, click next. Next. I just want to point out that Active Directory can take a long time to install, depending on your hardware. Like, this is quite a powerful piece of kit, so it doesn't take too long. It still takes quite long to configure, but it doesn't take too long. But like I say, if you've got multiple processors, then you're in luck, because this will just fly by. I've seen it on like a very old Xeon processors, and wow, it took Windows Server 2003 just like flew on that. So it's just creating all this stuff on the computer. Okay, notice that it's done. So now it should ask me to restart, and then just click on restart. Okay, so I'm just going to put my username and password in again. And as you can see, it will now say logged on to Cloud 2. That's because we've already created the domain. And you may remember that the domain, the FSQN, is it? The fully qualified domain name is cloud2.com. So it's already given us the name Cloud2. Okay. Okay, so my password has expired and it wants me to enter a new one. So I'm just going to do that very quickly. Okay. Okay, then just click on add roles again. Then click on next, and then look for. Okay, so the DNS server is already installed. That's very good because we need a DNS server, and it seems to have been configured already. So I'm going to say just install DHCP server. Okay, then click on install DHCP server, and well, it just keeps saying that there is no static IP address, but I believe that there is. And it doesn't really matter as well, I don't think. So I might not be able to contact the server. Well, okay. I'm not sure how much of a problem this is, because I haven't, when I run WDS, or Windows Deployment Services, this doesn't really come into effect that much. It just seems to find the address and just does it. However, if this does cause a problem to you, then just look back at part 1 of the video, to the other part of the video. I'll leave a little timeline link down there, and just have a look at how I created the static IP address from the 2 NICs that I had. So for now, I'm just going to click on install, and I'm going to click on next. Next this as well. Right, okay. Yeah, so the parent domain I'm going to leave as it is, and this I'm going to leave as it is as well. The reason being, okay, is that the alternate DNS server is this basically. This is the actual DNS server. That's the address that I used to log into the router. Remember, like before, I logged into the router, and it showed up as being, what was it? Yeah, 192.168.0.1, and it came up with all that stuff. Remember? If you don't, then have a look at connecting. What was it? Connecting to remote desktop together, or have a look at remote desktop connections. Internet remote desktop connections video, and that stuff will be there. So as I validate this, okay, it takes a while to validate, but it's going to validate. You'll notice that it says that it's not an IP address that responds to DNS requests. Okay. However, if I type that address in, 192.0.0.1, then you notice that it will say valid. Now this is because that we set up that DNS server before. You see? And 127.0.0.1 is something called a loopback address. Now a loopback address is an address in which the computer just kind of loops to itself. So it just uses itself as the DNS server in this case. So when it distributes IP addresses from the DHCP server, which is a dynamic host control protocol server, what it's doing is, well, let me show you. Okay, I'm going to click next. We do not need wins on this server, so that's fine. Right, it makes a scope and gives an IP address. So if I click add, I'm going to give it a name of, let's say, cloud. and the starting IP address will be, I have another server at 192.168.20, so I will use the lease line of 192.168.0. I'm going to say 12 to 192.168.0.19. I'm going to leave it as wide because that's got the most duration for the lease, which is absolutely fine. Don't have to change the subnet or anything, because that's already done for us. And our default gateway is, like before, 192.168.0.1. I'm going to click on Next. Now, I'm going to click on OK. Right. Now, what I want to tell you is that when we do WDS, when we do Windows Deployment Services and have it up and running and everything, what happens is the DHCP server will give it an address of 192.168.0.12 to begin with. So what that means is that 7 machines, in this case, can connect to the Windows Deployment Services server to have an image on them which allows it to both boot and install any version of Windows which a client machine will accept. Okay? It sounds a little complex to begin with now, but you'll realize that it makes sense later on. Okay, so I'm going to click on Next, and we don't need IPv6 or DHCP v6 mode on this server. We're going to be just using IPv4 addresses, so yeah, and I haven't made the transition to IPv6 yet. I'm going to have a look into it, and maybe one day, if I'm clever enough, I'll report my findings. I just want to say that WDS, for me, it took a couple of years to fully understand how it works. I didn't get it straight away, like a lot of people have. It took me a very long time to just kind of sit there and just figure everything out. And that's the purpose behind this video, because it's very, very frustrating to look at books and things like that and not have a clue what the server administrator is on about. It's very, very frustrating. But with this video, hopefully that will clear up any complications that you may have, and hopefully you'll enjoy it as well. I just want to point out that this is going to be a long video, and it's going to entail everything that you need from start to finish. Okay, let's click Next. I'm going to use the current credentials. DHCP must be an authorized. Okay, don't worry about that. So I'm just going to use that current credentials, and I'm going to click Next. And now, this is something that you might want to print, or you might want to just make a copy of, email or save the information, because it might come in useful one day. You might say that, okay, I'm sick and tired of IPv4, and I want to upgrade the network to IPv6, and you'll just realize that, oh, hang on a minute, stateless mode, DHCP v6 is not enabled. I need to enable that. So you'll use this information for that kind of purpose. Or maybe you've got a Win server and you want to install something on Wins, so you'd use that. Okay, now I'm going to click Install, and that will install the DHCP server. And I might need to reboot the machine after this, but beggars can't be choosers. Come on, let's get on with it. Configure your thing. Very good, very good. Now let's click Close, and we'll go back to Add Roles. Next, and we'll get into the nitty-gritty bit. Windows Deployment Services. Click on that, let's click Next. Okay, this is just some background information, so we're just going to check that we've got Active Directory domain services installed, which we do. DHCP has been installed. We have DNS installed on it as well. The transport server may not require any additional services, and right, this is important as well. NTFS partition or a file store, for the file store even. Okay, before you begin, you need to configure WDS by running either that or that. Okay, and okay, this part I'll show you in a minute what that's saying, this part, because at the moment it may not make much sense, but basically all that means is that when you go into your BIOS, just select LAN on it. That's all it means. Literally, just select LAN. Or anything that says PXE on it to boot up the pre-installation environment. Okay, now let's just click next. We do want both of those, so let's click next and install. Okay, let's click close. Right. Now that everything's there, let's configure them. So, how do we do that? Okay, let's click get rid of that, and then just click down here, and you'll see that the server manager comes up. Now don't worry about all these little crosses and things like that, it's just trying to depress you. Well, that's the way I see it anyway, because when you go into it, you'll just see a lot of information symbols. I do notice that I had no internet connection. Okay, well, we're using it for LAN-based purposes anyway, so I'm not too worried about that. But that is intriguing that I don't have one. Probably just needs a restart. Now, you see all information things. As you can see, that some of the services have been stopped, so you just want to enable a few of these. Probably, let's see what's disabled on here. File replication, probably. So you just see, left right click on it and then just click start. But because I have nothing associated with it, it won't start, which is absolutely fine, so just leave this one alone. Let's just check that the DHCP server is running. Yes, it is, and I've got an error on it for some reason. But I'm not too fussed about that, because it's just a minor error. Yeah, because there's no IPv4 addresses, that's fine. So what I did to access that is just left click on it twice, okay? DNS server, let's just check that that's running, and it is, it's fine. File services, fine, it's running. Remote desktop services, well, we're not really keen on that, but that's running as well. Okay, IIS, that's running as well. Windows deployment services, that's stopped. Now why has that stopped? The reason why that stopped is because it hasn't been configured. Literally. Because if I try and start the service manually, I'll get an error. You see, and this is not going to start up unless you configure WDS. Alright, so what I did was just open up the tabs and you'll see that it's not been configured. So, right click on this. Nope, go to more actions, then click on configure server. Click next on this menu. Now, this is the point where it's going to grab images. So what it means by images, this is like, well, you'll see in a minute, from a directory which you have on your hard drive, and these will be available to client machines to install Windows XP, Windows Vista, Windows 8, Windows Server 2008, all that kind of jazz. So, because I only have one drive on here, I'm just going to use the C drive. But in actual fact, you should probably use a different drive. Okay, so to access that, you just click on Browse, and you just go to Computer, and your drives will be listed there. And then the rest is history, really. It's easy from there. So just click Next. I'm going to click Yes. Configure DHCP option to PXE client. Just click that, and then click Next. And then what I like to do is respond to all clients, and then I just put administrator approval on. You can configure this as you wish, but this is just my preferred settings. Click Next. And it will start the service now. Okay, then we need to add images to the server, and just click Finish. Okay, so I don't have any images on this server as at current. However, that's not a problem. I do have some in a drive, and if I just click on my drive, just go to desktop, computer, hard drive. Now I've got a couple of ISO files in here. While that's loading, I'm going to go back to the server and I'm going to download I'm going to download an extractor program called 7-zip. Okay, now you'll get a lot of gunk on here, but I don't have internet connection. Okay, let's try restarting the machine for an internet connection. Okay, while that's doing that, let's see, where are the images gone? Oh yes. Let's go to Windows. Nope, it's computer software. That's it. Windows, and in here I have both images. But I do have them on here as well. Anyway, no mind about that. It's running. Okay. See if I've got internet now. Should have internet now, so let's have a look. Nope, I don't have internet. Damn it. See, that's the thing with servers. Even though your internet does work, it's just going to keep saying it doesn't. Never mind. See what's the problem then. Why haven't I got internet? Okay, my suspicions are that it's going to come up saying that the DNS server is not enabled, which is a lot of tut, because it is. Yeah, this is the only problem that I have with Windows Server 2008. Oh, the diagnostics policy is not running. Policy service is not running. The diagnostics policy service isn't running. Okay, let's have a look at that then. Okay, services. Diagnostics policy, right? Diagnostics policy. Diagnostic. Yes, it is run. What are you talking about? It is running. Yeah, you see, this is the problem that I have in Microsoft. Things are running, and it's just being weird and telling me it's not. You see, it even says automatically running. Why is this not? Okay, let's turn this to automatic. Let's click OK. And let's try this again. Is there anything on here? Ah, okay. No. Okay, let's just log off and log back in again, see if that solves the problem. Nope, it hasn't. Okay, well, it doesn't really matter about that. Okay, let's see if this works. If it doesn't, then I know what I need to do. I need to change that address back to 1927001. Right, okay, let's go to Windows, Deployment Services. Let's get those images. So I'm just going to quickly jam those images. Let's see, where are they? In here. I believe they're in there. Windows 32-bit everything. Yeah, there we go. Right. Okay. So I'm going to go back to VirtualBox, and I'm going to put a shared folder on. Okay. The path is going to be and meow. Okay. Click OK. Now if we go back to the server, it will say that there's stuff in there. However, I'm not sure if I've got an instance of what I need in there. Let's see. So I'm going to go network. Network discovery is off. Turn network discovery on. Okay, I see my PC. And nothing much else. Okay, so I have my two images here, and I'm just gonna copy these images, plug them here. Yes, I have a copy of 7-zip. Excellent. So it'll take a while. Come on. Okay. And we're back. Okay, so now I'm going to install 7-zip. Now I'm going to install 7-zip. Still nothing. Why isn't this installing 7-zip? It's a small program. Come on. Come on. 7-zip. Okay, that's freaky. Oh, here we go. And it's gone. And it's back again. 3 instances. Okay, I'm just going to close all the other instances. Okay. Next. I agree. Next. And I'm going to just install this. Okay, I'm going to click Finish. And I'm going to extract these files. Okay. See, so we have the x64-bit edition done, so we need the x32-bit done now. x86, so 32-bit. Okay, I'm just going to extract it. Okay, here we go. Okay, while this is extracting, I'm going to reset those 2 adapters that we had before. So I'm going to go back to network and sharing center. Okay, and I'm going to go back to change adapter settings. Clock 2. Properties. Go to IPv4 for DNS setup. I'm going to say 127.0.0.1. Same for this. Okay, those 2 images are done. So what I'm going to do now is go back to Windows Deployment Services. Delete these images because we don't need them anymore. Okay, so I'm going to go to Roles and Windows Deployment Services. Back to the server. Okay, the install images. This install image I'm going to add. Okay, I'm just going to call this same. I'm just going to leave it the same. And then the file location is on the desktop. So these are the 2 files that we extracted. And it's looking for a boot. What's this? Install image. So this is going to be a install.wim file. Click next, next, next. And it will just add the images now. Windows 7 Home Basic. Okay, and we're done on that side for the 64-bit editions, so now I'm going to add the 32-bit install images. So let's go back to that folder that we extracted the 32-bit images in, sources, and install, next, and next, and next, and there we go. Okay, and we're done. So we're done on the install side. Let's go to the boot images. Okay, add boot image. So that was just a right click again, and let's see, boot, the 32-bit boot image, because that's the last one I had open. And there we go, adding the boot image. And add another boot image. We're going to add the 64-bit boot image in there. So sources, boot. Okay, so what I need to do now is reduce the RAM allocation on the server and reduce some of the processing power that it has, and I will then make a secondary machine once this machine has been booted, and I'll show you how the Windows deployment services work. Okay, but before I do, I just want to point out that this is beginning to annoy me, the no internet connection, because there is an internet connection, I'm telling you there is, but it's just being weird. So I will left click on this little bit here, and that gives up network adapters. You may have just already seen it. And then what I could do is just give it a static, just one NIC instead of two. I'm not sure which one has internet, but I'm just going to try and see if that works. I don't think it has, but let's see another one. No. Alright, I'm just going to leave it as default then, for the time being. That bridge mini port. Let's go OK. Let's shut this thing down. Okay, so let's go back to VirtualBox. Let's create a quick machine. Let's call it Windows 7 X32. Let's give it some RAM. Let's give it about 5 gigs of RAM. Because I'm hardcore. Next, 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 next. Create. Awesome. So, settings. And then when you go to settings, just click on, I'm just going to leave everything as it is, and then just click on that, and then you want to click on that. Okay, so network and PX, and whatever that is. Now, let's go to that. I'm just going to reduce the amount of RAM that it has to 4 gig. Processing power is about 6, yeah, that's fine, I think. Let's boot up both. Let's boot the server first. No, okay, cool. Yes, just cancel all that. Yeah. Right, this is not going to find anything because basically there's nothing available at the moment because the server hasn't started. So hence you see TFTP error. There's no file, no nothing. It's absolutely fine. And also notice that I've put this on the wrong settings for network. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back to settings, and I'm going to go to network, and I'm going to go to bridged. Click OK. Just seeing how that one's doing now. And I've got internet back again. Excellent. Okay. So I'm assuming. Oh yes, I forgot one thing to mention. Right, let's go back to Windows Deployment Services. Just make this thing full screen for the minute. It's not really what I had in mind, but okay. Okay, let's go to Services, go down here. Right, there's two things that we have to bear in mind. Pending devices is basically where the machine, if it finds it, is going to be, and then we have to approve all these machines. The next thing that I need to know is that we need to set this thing up a little bit more. So, just click on that little thing there, just underneath Services, the name of the server, click Properties, and then go to Boot. And what I like to do is to allow it not to press F12 because it's just long-winded and annoying. So just click Always and Always, and then click Apply. I don't think there's anything else that we need to do. Let's just have a look. Nope. That's fine. That's fine. This is just for unattended installations. So if you have an XML file, then you just put that in there, and you'll just do an unattended installation for you. Considering that it's been done properly, I'll show you that in a later session. Once I figured it out, I'll show you it. Network, that's fine as well. Boot, advanced. Yeah, I think that's fine. That's fine. That's fine as well. Okay, let's click OK. Okay, just gonna put this to the side now. There we go. Let's boot this. Let's boot this. Let's click OK. See what it does. Ah, damn it. TFTP timed out. Why did TFTP time out? Oh, yes, because I forgot pending images. It didn't even register as a pending. Okay. Why has it done that? Okay, let's try another way. F12 plus 1. What? F12. Is that an L or a 1? Primary master. Oh, okay. Let's try L. Okay, it's booting up L. Let's just check the primary controllers. Okay, I don't really understand what's going on. Ah, help. I swear this worked the last time I did it. I'm not sure why this isn't working now. Let's just check the services. saying it's running. Can't quite see the fault here. Oh, here we go. There's the fault. Allow all VMs. Okay. Now let's try this again. Yeah, whatever. Right, is this pending? Why isn't this going into pending? Anyway, that's what it's supposed to do, go into pending. Obviously there's some kind of problem here. Okay, after various attempts and trying to understand what the problem was, I think I figured it out. Okay, what the problem was when booting the device, let me just see if I can, there we go. When booting the actual machine, we'll get up to this stage and notice that it didn't download before. Now, it comes up with errors like this. Okay? Or something similar. So what I've done, literally, is I've gone to machine, and then I just click reset until it finds the actual TFTP server and the WDS server. And that's all I've done. I haven't really done anything else. I've just literally gone to machine, reset it, and just keep resetting it until it actually finds the device. Then one way in which I sped this up was just to press F12. Then that contacts the WDS server, and if I just refresh this, you can see that the actual machine's there to be accepted. So all I did then was just click approve, then that will approve the machine. Then I go back here, just wait for the approval, wait for it to detect the approval, and hopefully any time now it should boot up into the WDS server, all being well. Yeah, and there we go, you see? So now you can see I've got the x86 image and the x64 image that I loaded in earlier. So whichever image I want to load now will just be here. So now I can select which operating system I want, I believe, by first getting the boot devices. So it's just downloading the boot image now from the server. This takes a while. Sometimes it can fail, sometimes it doesn't. Like if I use the 64-bit image, because the actual machine isn't powerful enough, then what tends to happen is that it fails to boot the actual image itself. But as you can see, it seems to be working relatively good. I do apologize for the noise. I am on the main machine at the moment, so if you hear some kind of like type noise, that's just the computer. Because I'm filming this off the actual machine. I'm not doing it like I do before, remotely. But that's not the issue. The issue is that the problem that I've had is now fixed, and I'm happy with that. So there we go. And now I'll just show you, just to make sure that I'm not bluffing, that it's going to go into the main installer now. That's just to make sure that it works. Is this going to boot? Yes, as you can see, we've just gone into the main boot menu now. Hopefully the menu will come up saying with a message, yes,
So as you can see, it's just getting the Windows 7 images that are available in the install category, in the install images, sorry, that we made earlier on, and hopefully it should lead us to the WDS, the Windows Deployment Services installation guide that we have here. But and this is just part one of a number of things that we can do with Windows Deployment Services. For example, unattended installation. We can also install programs directly off a MDT server. So that's a Microsoft Deployment Tool server. I don't remember exactly what the name was. I'll post it in the description. But yeah, it's all up and running now. So hopefully any device that was connected in that IP range from the DHCP that we had will now be connected to this device, the WDS server. So this is Windows Deployment Services server, and yeah, it's running on a Windows 32-bit, well, a virtual machine. So I'm happy with the results, and I'm glad that we managed to sort out a lot of problems today. So this will be added to the 1 hour and 35-minute video that I created, and this is Multi-Tech-Spec, and I hope to see you again soon. More videos to come, some simplistic, some more advanced, but a video nonetheless, and I hope this has helped to alleviate some of the problems that may have been caused with Windows Deployment Services deployment. I know that there have been a lot of documentation out there which is just rubbish, because I don't understand it. It's a lot of like kind of very nitty-gritty kind of things, when, you know, one simple video could answer so many questions in a short period of time. Just 2 hours, you know, to get this thing up and running is an achievement in itself. It does work better if you don't have, if you do have even multiple processors and huge amounts of RAM. But, you know, that's the nature of a server. So, yeah. The rest of this installation is much like installing Windows. So if I just show you, see, and remember before we activated a little thing. So what's my domain again? Was it cloud2.com? Yeah, so it's cloud2.com. Cloud2.com. That was our Active Directory. Our FSQN, fully qualified domains. Yeah, that was our fully qualified domain name. And then just put a slash there, and I'm the administrator. And I'll just type my password in now. And as you can see, we have a bunch of images from 64-bit to 86-bit. 286 images. I wasn't expecting it to come out like this. I just thought it would be more kind of 86-bit based, but now that's quite interesting. I wasn't expecting that, but never mind. This is an 86-bit machine, so I'm going to go with ENUS Ultimate 86. Click next, and it's very much like a installation that you would do normally. You might want to create an additional partition for the system. I'm not really bothered about that, but okay, cool. Yeah, fine. If you can do it, why not? Okay. The server initiates, you see. And that was actually really quick to copy the files. I wasn't expecting that, but there we go, you see. It's a lot like installing normally. So I'm just going to let this continue and maybe ramble on a bit, because I'm having fun. So yeah. Just to see what happens, actually, because I'm quite curious. So yeah, I'll say goodbye maybe another time. But this seems to be quite a lot quicker than what I was expecting. So yeah, I'm really pleased with the results. So just a couple of future plans. I'll hopefully be showing the MDT, which is the Microsoft Deployment Tool. That's what it was, the Microsoft Deployment Tool, as well as Wake. Wake is the Windows Automated Installation, the Windows Automated Installation Kit. which allows us to do some much more fancy things with Windows Deployment Services, such as unattended installations, automatic joining of domain services, that sort of thing. Very cool stuff. And with the MDT, we can install programs such as Adobe, I believe, Microsoft Office 2010, and have it automatically active for us, like activated, that kind of stuff. Cool. So yeah. Okay, so this is interesting. We're back at the original kind of like setup screen of Windows. So this is like very similar to what you'd actually see on a disk, where you have the country and the origin. You've got the other country and the actual keyboard. This is probably what you boot into when you have a disk in first. See, this, in fact, this is exactly the same. You see, where I have to put the actual name in, and the password, and the product key, which I don't have, but never mind. See, and it's pretty exactly the same. Although surprisingly, I am surprised that it hasn't recognized all that from when it was actually in the server and booting. But I'm guessing that's just because it needs the actual image catalog to boot, so it's just decompressing all the files and sending it down to the actual machine itself, so that it can be decompressed and encoded, so that way it's read. You can read it on the machine. Where's the time zone there? London, UK, something along that order. Let's see, so we are yeah. Okay. And the network I'm just going to put as a home network just for now. But maybe if it was on a domain, if I was connecting this to a domain, then it would be probably better to have it on as a work network. But never mind. That's Windows 7. I love it. It's brilliant. Okay, not really bothered about that. Skip all that. And as you can see, I even have sound on this machine and a working internet connection, which I'm actually surprised about. But as you can see, pretty much everything is there without the aid of the disk. All the default features, showing the desktop, the recycle bin, all that kind of good stuff. Yeah, I don't think I'm joined to the domain of the actual server itself, but I'm not too fussed about that. Just as long as the damn thing works, it's fine by me. Yeah, so that's more or less a prototype and the actual way in which WDS server works from start to finish. Congratulations for watching this video for a good nearly 2 hours, pretty much 2 hours. And also, I'd just like to mention that in the video that I shot before, what I meant to say was that you have to restart the actual server in order for it to configure all the services again, and then you have to restart the actual machine a couple of times just to make it connect to the actual server. But once it's connected, then you have to approve. Then you have to approve it in where's it gone? There we go. You have to approve the pending devices. Then it will come up with that GUID. Just click left click. If you have multiple machines, just click approve all, and all the devices will then connect to the actual central server. You might need to press F12 in the console to make it do it. In fact, there's a good likelihood that you will need to on every single device that's connected to it. But after that, you know, then it's plain sailing. It's easy after that, because then it will boot the actual device, the actual image itself, and yeah, you just install it. So that's it, I guess. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you again next time. This is Multi-Tech Spec on WDS Services, The Real McCoy. Thank you.